What's something you saw that you weren't definitely supposed to see? My dad gave me his phone to order something because mine was out of battery, and on Google the first tab I see is how to tell your child a loved one is dying. My mum has been ill for years now and I've been in denial about it getting any worse, but this finally broke me. That's rough. I'm so sorry. I hope you're doing okay now. I have the same first name as the CFO of my former employer. The CEO was not very technically savvy and emailed me confidential company documents more than once. I was a nosy child and I was looking through my grandmother's address phone number book. She had little post-its tucked in random places. I came across a note that was a list of things she wanted to do to be happy, and one of them was find a man that loves me. My grandfather had died a while back. Probably 8 years previous. It didn't make me sad then, but it really does now because she has dementia and can't remember things that happened a few seconds ago. I was living with my girlfriend and her parents. One day I run down the stairs real quick to use the bathroom to see her parents getting down and dirty under the blanket on the couch. At this point it was too late to turn around, so I just ran past them. I use the bathroom and come out to her dad waiting in the kitchen. Most awkward moment I've had when it comes to parents, lol. I'll trade you. I barged in my parents' bedroom to seeing my mom ride my dad. Awkward as heck. Had to go to family reunion that day. 45 minutes away. Was near them both all day. To this day, I'm not sure if they saw me. When I was around 10 years old, my mom and I went to visit an aunt and uncle as my uncle, my mom's brother, had just had a major surgery. During the visit my aunt and my mom cooked a big dinner and my aunt tells me to go call for my cousin to eat dinner. I go to his room and open the door to be greeted by the sight of guns lining the bed. And I vividly remember seeing bricks of what I later learned was C, and big burlap sacks of weed. I blurted out, "Your mom's ate comeat," and immediately slammed the door shut. It was no secret to anyone in our family the type of business that our cousins were in. He came out of his room a few minutes later and scolded me for not knocking. I was scared shitless, but the young kid brain in me was also extremely fascinated to see that they were real life drug lords. My guy, you were practically in a gang movie when they're prepared to make a risky deal, LMAO. When I was young, maybe 6-8, I was at my grandparents' house. I was talking with my grandma and said, "I wonder if there is a website named after me." She was just as curious as me, so we go to look it up. I type in my name then .com, and to both of our horrors it was a P website. I needed a USB drive at work one day and asked one of my co-workers if I could borrow one. It didn't work though. For some reason files wouldn't transfer to it. I started looking around for clues and found an absolute massive P collection on there. The co-worker was looking over my shoulder the whole time. The only thing I could think of to say was interesting. I am imagining how awkward and feebly interesting came out, and I am absolutely crying, OMG. I went to pay a ticket I got while driving with my headlights turned off. I walked into the courthouse office I was supposed to be in and looked through the glass to see the elected male sheriff giving the female magistrate a back and shoulder rub. They both went white when I knocked on the glass. The sheriff immediately stopped and walked to another room. The magistrate gave me the weirdest look and said, "I guess Christmas came early for you" stamp, and gave me the receipt of the voided ticket. Sometimes it pays to see something you're not supposed to see. Ah, the sweet smell of corruption. My mom's suicide plan. She had a small notepad that she kept in her dresser drawer. It had her planning on trying to make it look like an accident so my dad could collect the insurance money. She almost even went through with it one day, but from my understanding my brother unexpectedly came home early from either school or a friend's and she didn't go through with it. When I was 8, I saw my mom have a seizure due to being physically addicted to alcohol and her trying to quit. It was a very violent seizure and I went into shock. In the terms of traumatic childhood events, I probably was not supposed to see that, but I have quite a few. Watching a loved one go through DTs sucks. Sorry you had to see that. My mom and her male friend fricking in our barn when I was 9 years old. After that our parents divorced and never spoke with each other again. I'm now 37. Hep, same. Caught my dad and his female writing partner in an alfalfa field when I was 12. Parents got divorced the following spring. My mom's old friend came over. She is a little crazy but sweet. 2. She said I looked just like her daughter, and then spent about 10 minutes scrolling through her camera roll with me to find a picture of her. In the process I saw like 2-3 dong pics. She was a bit embarrassed but just said I'm sure you've seen a penis before. Sorry, I assured her it was fine. Honestly, by the looks of the dong I was more concerned for her. My mill was showing me photos of her on vacation with her boyfriend. Swiped through a dong pic. Didn't even flinch. Living out in the country, when I was 10 years old, my parents went to the local video rental place and brought back a few VHS. They told me to pop in Planet of the Apes. I did, and whoever had it before didn't rewind it and it started mid-video, and all you heard was moaning and all I saw was an eyeful of dong and vagina. And I stared glued to the TV, and my parents freaked out and ran to turn off the TV. Apparently the small video rental store back then doubled as an adult video store as well, and somehow they accidentally grabbed a copy of Playmate of the Apes by accident. Playmate of the Apes, my sides. Saw my upstairs neighbor and another man push a crying girl through a door. I knew they were involved in drug-related business, so I felt it necessary to call the police despite suspecting that I was being a busybody. I'd asked for my name to be kept out of the case so I wasn't told the specifics, but my neighbor was gone for good, so he was definitely up to no good. I was definitely not supposed to see my former boss banging the woman from the housekeeping agency. I was also not due the 35% raise that came my way the following month, but hey. When I was about 9 years old, I was sat in my mum's car at a T-junction right at the front and I was in the passenger seat. On the opposite side of the T-junction was a hill with a bunch of houses on and a path going directly up the hill which had quite tall fences on either side. I could see a woman walking down the hill with a big pushchair in front of her, and her view of the path along the road was obstructed by the fences. She just walked out onto the path, pushchair first, and didn't see that there was a guy on a bike cycling along the pathway. He couldn't see her either as she was obscured by the fence. He swerved to miss the pushchair and came flying off the bike and straight into the road. Just at the moment a lorry drove by and it ran straight over his head. Me and my mum saw everything. She quickly put her hand in front of my face so I couldn't see, but it was too late. I can still remember the woman's screams and seeing the blood splattered on the road. My mum had to stick around to tell the police what had happened as we saw the whole thing play out. I remember my mum taking me home and buying us pizza and us spending the whole night on the sofa under the duvet as it clearly messed her up too. I had nightmares about it for years, but I haven't thought about it for a little while until I started reading some of the other stories here. One time I went to a concert at a dive venue that was tucked away in some back alleys. Was having a dart with a buddy out front during the show, and amidst the surrounding abandoned housing, I saw two dudes make an exchange of what looked very much to be a bag of guns and a bag of money. The bigger dude instigating the handoff immediately noticed and made eye contact with me. He slowly started reaching towards his waist. I held my cool and casually looked back towards my buddy who was drunkenly ruining a joke and followed him back inside. I know what I saw. The man knew I saw him. I didn't look back. Nothing like I've read on this post so far, but one time, right after turning 21, my dad takes me to one of his friend's new bar, and we're drinking, having fun. I realize at one point I lost my dad, so I go looking for him, and I find him in the back room. He's with one of my friends that works in the kitchen at the restaurant we all work at together, and my dad is instantly, "Get out of here. Don't look. Just go." It took me a couple years to realize they were doing lines off the pinball machine. I'd be relieved they were just doing lines tbh. Borrowed my, now ex-husband's laptop one evening while I was at home and he was out with his friends. Browser was open to his Gmail account, including an ongoing chat with his mistress. He must have been chatting with her from his phone, because their convo continued on the screen as I looked on in horror. I scrolled back through the previous several weeks of their chat. He mentioned having a wife. He sent her dong pics. So many dong pics. He gushed over his feelings for her, but she mostly seemed to want to hit him up for money. It was horrifying, of course, but also a terribly sad look into that douchebag's inner life. Divorced now, thankfully. Good riddance to bad rubbish. A friend was showing me a pic on her phone, and in the thumbnail preview gallery thing at the bottom there was a topless pic of herself. I mean, it was like 6.5 pixels, but you know. This reminds me of a time I was showing a picture to my friend. Then in the little corner my missus tried to cover with thumb, open up to full glory. When I was younger, I was at a friend's house sleeping over playing video games on the N64. We wanted a late night snack and went downstairs to get some cookies, and we saw his mum with another man kissing. Wasn't sure if it got to the other point. On the lounge as he cried and said, "You're not my dad," and sadly this was the last time I spoke to him because he had to move away with his father. My mom blowing a guy on the couch. "Sorry, didn't know it was your house." Album and a shoebox full of Polaroid sex shots of my grandmother, VHS tapes of my grandparents having group sex with other people, their bestiality fetish tapes, their Nazi paraphernalia. Found it all while clearing out my grandfather's trailer after he died. Also found jars full of pee, but I don't think he cared whether I saw those or not. Here I was about to post about finding my dad's pee stash, but then I saw this. When I was about 11, I found my mom's diaries and read them. I found one from when she was pregnant with me and was seriously contemplating adoption. Then one from several years later where she wondered if she made the right choice. I teach high school. While I was taking attendance at the beginning of a Zoom class a few months ago, one of the girls in the class was clearly video chatting with her boyfriend on the side because she lifted up her shirt for him and flashed the whole class. That made for an awkward communication to her parents. My brother and I were very curious children. One day he pulled me into our spare bathroom all excited because he had found a huge surprise in the garbage can beside the toilet. Inside the garbage can there was a tortilla chip bag with a whole bunch of rolled up things inside. We opened it up thinking that they were surprise toys, like kinda surprise, left inside the bag by accident. Nope, they were my mom's bloody pads. My sister's boyfriend let his curiosity get the better of him and he opened one of the gift wrapped things in the garbage can in the bathroom. Surprise, bloody tampon. He wondered for so long why these things kept appearing all wrapped up. She would literally make them into a square shape and place them in the bin. Just a couple days ago, I was trying to find the power supply of a monitor I haven't used in a couple months. Soon enough, I opened a drawer and found my brother's girlfriend's dildo. I only found out what it was as soon as I touched it. Maybe it was your brother's dildo. My wife's stepmom dated a guy who shared my name. She sent the titty pic to the wrong contact. She was around 60 at the time. I deleted it and took the opportunity to get off my butt and down to the cell phone shop for a new phone and a new number. I then texted all of my contacts saying I'd gotten a new number and may have missed anything they sent in the last 4 hours. I created a perfect excuse for us never to speak of even the possibility of something so wrong, but I still haven't drunk enough to forget it. Dang, that's going out of your way to save her some embarrassment. A sext from my dad, clearly meant for my mom. Also unfortunately my dad's penis. Thankfully not in person. He did not delete his photos before giving 12-year-old me his old phone. Rookie mistake. My dad frequently texts the wrong person. I'm afraid one day it's going to be this situation. A few years ago a cousin of a female friend got back from Afghanistan. Recently discharged. Let's call my friend Lucy and her cousin Mike. Didn't know Mike well, but Lucy and Mike were fairly close. We were using Skype to play Magic: The Gathering with him at distance. Usually about 5 or 6 of us in person. We're in California. Mike's in Alabama. Lucy wanted to include him on the fun we'd have after classes and such, so we were trying to figure out a distance solution to include him. Mike seemed like a nice enough guy. Anyhow, we're midway through a game when Mike says into the camera, "I'm gonna go get another beer. Be right back." We're still rotating turns so it's all good. The laptop is angled in such a way that it's directly facing Lucy and I can see it at a slight angle from the right. And another friend, Nina, beside Lucy Cam is participating on her left. A couple minutes pass. We figure he's using the restroom or whatnot. No big deal. The next part I remember almost in slow motion. It's surreal. Everyone's laughing and socializing while this is happening. And Mike comes back and sits down. And I get this weird feeling. Like this deep pit opens in my stomach and my skin feels overly sensitive. Friend across the table looks concerned and says something like, "You okay?" because I stopped talking suddenly and must have gone pale. I didn't answer. I was watching the laptop. Mike's hiding his hands and I don't see any beer. Nina said, "Hey, Mike's back," and everyone starts picking up their cards. Mike says something to the effect of, "Just a sec. I want to show you guys something real cheery like." He pulls out a pistol and does a sort of salute movement with it, then shoots himself in the temple with a .44. Cue chaos. Screaming, vomiting, ugly crying, frantic phone calls and a crappy night. Part of me is really sad for Mike, but the greater part of me wants to tell him to go frick himself for traumatizing 2 friends of mine. One severely, and subjecting me to it in the process. Hurt his cousin on purpose as a last act, as suddenly and brutally as possible. Frick you, Mike, but RIP. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine a friend in a video call with me and suddenly killing himself. In the 7th grade I was walking out of the locker room. I heard the girls' locker room door open, and me being a human responded at a sudden noise and looked over to see one of the girls walk out. We make normal human eye contact. At this point everything is normal, but in the corner of my eye, I was somehow at a perfect angle to see one of my classmates with her pants down. Needless to say I worked hard to consciously not look in that direction again. Yesterday my dog was barking while I was FaceTiming a friend. I went out to the gate to see what he was barking at. It's 9 feet high, and peeped through the handhold to see my next door neighbor taking a pee on the land between our places. I saw his dong, then he was looking at my eye. He said, "It's okay buddy," which is my dog's name. So yesterday I saw my next door neighbor's dong, then held eye contact for a second. What did his penis look like? When I was a kid I was playing with my dad's phone and stumbled upon a video of him and his co-workers fingering the receptionist. When I was 7 or 8 I watched my 70+ neighbor have a heart attack and drop to the ground. Face completely blue, eyes rolling into the back of his head, about a meter away from me. I feel like there was blood too, but I'm not 100% sure about that bit. I had to run and get an adult to call an ambulance. I'm positive I saw him momentarily die, but the paramedics managed to bring him back. No child should have to see that. It's freaked up. Watched my grandpa have a heart attack and die in front of me on Christmas Day when I was 10 while we were opening presents. The one he didn't get to open was the one I got him. My parents hooked the home camera up to the TV. I saw about 10 seconds of my mother reverse cowgirling my dad. Didn't feel like finishing my drawing at all. I just walked out the room and sighed with childhood hatred. I just walked out the room and sighed with childhood hatred. I feel this on a deep level. The CFO left paperwork on the printer that indicated the director level employees were getting 100k bonuses and making 150k. 3 times the managers at my company. We were laying people off while these sacks of crap were getting paid big time. Years ago at this startup I worked at, someone left a CD-ROM sitting on a desk. It wasn't labeled, so I grabbed it to see what was on it. It was a copy of the entire company's payroll. Gave me some great insight into what I should have been making and eventually used that to get a good raise. Dumb luck on my part, but it opened my eyes big time. When I was a kid one time I went through my grandma's jewelry box. I found a little flash drive at the bottom mixed in with the miscellaneous and broken jewelry. Being as I was immediately curious as to what secrets might lie within, I plugged the flash drive into my older brother's PC. There was a video titled Oregon Farm 2011. I clicked on it and immediately saw the most horrific thing anyone could possibly imagine. It was a bald man with an extremely large penis inserted in my grandma's mouth. I panicked and immediately turned off the screen. It was too late. The image was burned in my mind. I put the flash drive back. I've never said anything about it and don't plan on it. I'll probably take it to the grave. I bet grandma's kisses were never the same after seeing that. My ex cheating on me. I woke up early and saw her photo light up. I thought it was mine. I didn't have my glasses on and sure enough Bumble and Tinder was open. Later I said when she got up, "So who's Mark?" Her face fell. I shouldn't have looked, but it made sense as to her secrecy. My Christmas presents when I was 6. I opened the trunk of the van and I saw all of them. The Super Smash Bros. Melee video game and the GameCube. I cried. This may be the last wholesome comment for 80 meters of swiping. When I was 7, I was playing hide and go seek with my cousins at my grandma's house. I hid in the wicker laundry basket with the lid closed. This is awesome. I thought to myself as only a child discovering the greatest hiding place can feel. I could see through the small gaps in between the wicker. It was in my grandma's bathroom and 2 feet in front of the toilet. My grandma walked through the bathroom door not 30 seconds after I contorted myself and closed the lid above me, with my face pressed against the side of the hamper. My grandma walked in, sat down and bombed that toilet. I couldn't avert my eyes, staying perfectly still so this awkward situation doesn't turn more awkward. The noises, the smell, my grandma's vagina. I won the game. I lost my innocence. I won the game. I lost my innocence. That really made the story for me. In elementary, I saw my teacher peeing on a bucket in our class storage. Don't ask why she didn't use the bathroom. And no, she's not old. I just came back in a few hours and this whole thread became an English class LOL. My mom would always make me do the Coca-Cola rewards on her phone, but I never could remember the password to her account, so I would usually go back in her history to just open up the tab again. Found some pee and an article best sex positions for women. This was just a couple of days before my parents' anniversary too. Judging by the rest of this thread, it could have been a lot worse. I once walked in on my dad singing Go Go Power Rangers with a red Power Ranger suite on. What an absolute legend. I was at a party at an acquaintance and his girlfriends. They had a nice apartment and quite expensive taste in clothing, furniture, art and liked to travel a lot. They also like to show off this lifestyle on social media. Anyway, later in the evening my phone was dying, so I asked if they had a charger I could borrow. I was told there was one in the top drawer of a dresser. So I went there, but there were 2 top drawers, so I just opened the first one and it was stuffed with debt collection claims and payment reminders. It was so full, it was about to spill out onto the floor. The other drawer had the charger. After that I have always been skeptical of people showing off their lavish lifestyles on social media. As well you should be. My mom always called that house poor. She said it was in reference to the British aristocracy. In those days, noble families would sometimes go broke. They'd have nothing left but their family name and their fancy house. As such, they would marry their children off to rich people to try and siphon that money into their own estates. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.